Have you ever wondered what makes some teams just click, while others, even when they're packed with brilliant people, seem to completely fall flat? Well, Google actually put together a whole team of researchers to figure that out. And what they found, it totally changed the way they think about building great teams. So let's get into it. This was it. This was the huge question at the heart of their entire project. I mean, for a company like Google, which is built on innovation and collaboration, figuring out the secret to amazing teamwork isn't just a nice idea, it's absolutely essential to their business. They wanted to know if there was some kind of magic formula. So first up, the perfect team puzzle. When they started, Google looked at this problem pretty much the way any of us would, like it was a puzzle they just needed to solve. Their first theory seems so logical, right? You just get the best of the best. You grab a PhD, a top-notch engineer, a brilliant MBA, you put all these superstars in a room together, give them complementary skills, and bam, you've got yourself a super team. They really thought they could create the perfect recipe, but what the data showed them was something else entirely. And that brings us to the second part, a surprising answer, because the research led them somewhere they just weren't expecting. It pointed them away from the individuals and straight toward how the group actually works together. This right here shows that pivot perfectly. The old idea was all about who was on the team, filling it with top performers and individual geniuses. But the new finding, the big aha moment, was that the secret sauce isn't who is on the team, it's how the team interacts. It's all about the collaboration. And this quote from their own research team really just says it all. It wasn't about stacking the deck with A players. The real magic was in the collective vibe, the dynamic of the group itself. Now, this is where it gets really fascinating. The research showed that a bunch of the things we usually think are super important just weren't. The number of top performers on a team, it was actually a terrible predictor of success. In fact, and get this, some of Google's absolute weakest teams were full of top performers. It also didn't matter if the team was full of introverts or extroverts, or even if they all hung out and were best friends after work. None of that stuff consistently mattered. Okay, so if it's all about working together, what in the world does that actually mean? Like, what are the real, tangible things that great teams do? Well, the research painted a really clear picture. An effective team isn't just a group that gets stuff done, it's a group that hits really ambitious goals. And they do it by creating a culture of open communication. And this is key, a culture of learning, not blame. So when things go wrong, it's a chance to learn, not a reason to point fingers. So how do you build that kind of culture? Well, it all comes down to something researchers call psychological safety. It's a bit of a buzzword, but it's powerful. It starts when everyone on the team feels safe enough to share their ideas freely. From there, it means people actually voice their concerns instead of just staying quiet. It also means you can ask the tough, maybe even controversial questions that really push the team forward. And finally, it creates an environment where it's okay to take smart risks, knowing that if you fail, the team will learn from it together. And what's the foundation for all of that? What's the bedrock that psychological safety is built on? It's one simple, incredibly powerful word: trust. Without trust, none of that open communication or risk-taking can ever happen. It's the starting point for everything. Okay, I know what you might be thinking. This all sounds great, this soft stuff like trust and communication, but does it actually have a real, hard impact on the bottom line? Google, being Google, absolutely had to see the data. Was all this effort actually worth it from a business standpoint? Well, the answer was a huge, resounding yes. Just look at this. They put their sales teams under the microscope, and the results were just staggering. The teams that had high levels of trust and communication, the effective ones, didn't just meet their sales targets. They blew past them by an average of 17%. And on the flip side, the teams that didn't collaborate well, they missed their targets by an average of 19%. You do the math on that. That is a massive 36-point performance difference between the two groups. And this gap wasn't because one team just had better salespeople. It was driven entirely by how the team worked together. The successful teams simply trusted each other more and were way better at navigating conflict. So the takeaway here is pretty huge. Building an amazing team isn't about hunting for superheroes. It's about creating an environment where every single person feels safe enough to contribute openly and honestly, which kind of leaves us with one final thought to take back to our own work. What's just one small thing your team could do, maybe even starting tomorrow, to build just a little more trust?